If you want to improve your drum fills, I'm going to show you how to take a drum fill like this and turn it into something like this. Now I'm going to show you 3 different ways that you can take that 16th note drum fill from the snare drum and give it more depth, give it more interest, and give it more power. Now these aren't the only 3 ways to improve a drum fill, but they are 3 pretty important ones. Now before we move into step 1, let's just have a quick look at the fill that we're improving. Alright, so method number 1 for improving that drum fill, we're going to use dynamics. Now dynamics is essentially variance in your drumming, and we're going to look specifically at variance in volume. So what we're talking about is you have your standard note, but then you also have your ghost notes and accents. So we're going to take that bar of 16th notes on the snare and we're going to use accents, ghost notes, dynamic builds to give it more depth and more power. Let's look at a few examples. So as you can see, playing dynamically and varying your volume makes a huge difference to how a fill sounds. And once you get further along playing the drums, it's not even just about ghost notes, standard notes, and accents. Each one of those 3 will have different levels of how loud or soft you hit a ghost note or an accent. But playing dynamically is really, really important. Now let's move on to the second method for improving that fill, which might seem pretty obvious: moving the location of your hands. So now we're going to take our bar of 16th notes, and instead of just staying on the one drum, we're going to move them around the kit. Now in the fill demonstration, I'm going to do a few simpler ones and a few more complicated ones, because the easier way to start when you're moving around in your fills is to take groups of 4 or groups of 2 and move them in chunks. Now you might play 4 on the snare drum and 4 on each of the toms and take it down the kit. Or you might play 4 on the snare drum, 2 on the top tom, 2 on the floor tom, and repeat that pattern for 16. So we'll do a couple of the more simple ones, and then we'll do a couple of more difficult ones where our hands are moving individually to different parts of the kit and not necessarily as part of a group. Let's do it. So again, as you can see, that simple bar of 16th notes becomes so much more when you move your hands around the kit. Now the hi-hat is really underused by most beginner drummers. So remember, it's not just about the toms. When you're coming up with your fills, throw in a little bit of hi-hat. All right, now let's look at the third way to improve this drum fill. And the way we're gonna do it is with the bass drum. Now the bass drum adds a whole nother dimension to your drum fill. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the bar of 16th notes and we're going to substitute some of the hands for bass drum. Now I'll do the same thing with the demonstration. So I'll do a couple of easier ones first, followed by a couple that are a little bit more difficult. And the easier ones are easier because what we're going to do is keep a consistent bass drum pattern. So we're going to either keep 1 or 2, but whatever we're doing, it's going to be the same throughout the bar. What you do to make your bass drum fills a little bit more intricate is that you use pairs and singles within the same drum fill. And I'll do a couple of examples of them as well. Let's get into it. So there you go. As you can see, putting bass drum into your drum fills adds a real depth and power to them. Like I said, in those first two, we just kept the same consistent pattern on the bass drum, either a single or a double. And in the second two fills, we had an inconsistent bass drum pattern, and I was also moving my hands around the kit, using the hi-hat just to give the fill a bit more variety. Now the last thing I'm going to do is show you a fill that combines everything. There's dynamic variation, I'm moving my hands around the kit, there's bass drum, there's hi-hat, it's got the lot. And we're going to finish the video on this fill. So thanks for watching, like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I'll see you on the next one.